And recording. Thanks for listening to this episode of Tuesdays in the Face Wrestling Podcast. On today's episode is the aftermath of Warrior Wrestling Friday Night Lights. We have two people in the house, Mr. Eric, Mr. Steve. You know him pretty well. You're probably pretty familiar with these podcasts. I don't need to say much. Chris, though, I want to go check in with you first. How are you doing, my good man? And I'm glad to see that you finally have power, correct?
Yes. I know we postponed this a little bit, and deep inside, I was like, hopefully we postpone it far enough. I will have power, and you don't have to hear a generator in the background. Ooh. So, yes, a week without power is not fun, but, you know, we're here. We got power. Everything's somewhat back to normal. I mean, COVID's still around, but, you know. And we went to a wrestling show this weekend, and I went to the 1 week before that. So I guess I'm winning.
Yeah, that's about as normal as you can get, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. We're starting to build, rack up a few like week to week. It kind of feels like, you know, like those weeks last year, August 2019, where it was just like, oh shit, we can't go to all of these in like the same week. You'd have like six shows running in Chicago, and then, you know, I wasn't gonna go to them anyway. So, so we had two back to back. You guys so first of all. Eric and Steve, both welcome. You guys both got a lot of praise for like some high camera angle shots, and I don't know if you guys put that one out there or like the black and white one for running a safe show. So I just want to just clap it up for you guys for pulling through and making something happen and giving us a bright spot. But welcome both of you. How you guys doing?
Thank you. I'm good.
Yeah, ditto. I'm great, man. Like you said, we were very lucky with the way everything came together. And as that show was over, we just kind of looked at each other, Eric and I did, and we're like, that it worked. You know, we thought it would work, but it did work, and we were pretty darn happy with it.
Yeah. Did you guys do one of those things where you stayed after everyone left and just sat on the bleachers together and just stared off into the field as like the lights went down? Did you have one of those moments?
Oh. Damn, right. So it didn't work. We screwed it up.
Yeah, we missed that part. It was actually the easiest. Steve and I were talking about this. The setup and the teardown for that show was the easiest of any of the shows we've ever done, because it was so minimalistic. It's just a ring on the field and a bunch of cones.
Right.
The hard part was just getting Fight TV out there so that they could live stream it. Obviously, there's no internet connection in the 50-yard line.
Yeah.
That's
how did that even happen? I mean, what did you guys do for that? Just one long extension cord?
Feet of cable, a generator, a switch, a whole lot of duct tape and spit and gum, but it connected.
Great. It was really cool to see Val on the as commentary. I think that might have been her first commentary, but I think that was a pleasant surprise. I definitely was noticing like the cones placed everywhere with like the individual chairs, and people were like you guys weren't kidding. You know, it wasn't like you were thinking to people in safety first. I think because people were not on top of each other at all, and you could see different rows, and they weren't even like stacked. They were like off to the side a little bit, so people could have direct line of sight. And so I just wanted to point out that was super impressive, and you guys got a lot of love online, and I think, you know, hopefully you guys took time to at least stop and smell the turf, if you will, in that sense, and it sounds like you did.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. So for us, the important thing is that we showed that you can do it. You can do it safely, right? So in dealing with the pandemic, there's this spectrum from flippant and dangerous to paranoid and overly worried. And the reality is we need to be somewhere in the middle, right? If you take all of the proper precautions, you can still live a somewhat normal life. You can do the things that you love in a certain way, and you don't have to forego them. And that's hopefully what we showed, that you can safely attend a wrestling show during COVID.
And I think sure, you guys put everything in place, but I guess also you can never predict what people are going to do, right? And the fact that the crowd respected all those rules that were in place for their safety, like it also speaks to the Warrior crowd, to the Warrior fan base. And one of the most impressive things that I heard was that this was the most attended wrestling show in North America since the COVID shutdown happened. That's not an easy thing to say.
No. So I think as far as we know, the number 2 would have been one of the GCW shows that capped at about 200. And we did somewhere
250,
between
yeah.
450 and 500. And so it was literally the biggest wrestling show in North America since mid-March, which, you know, we're always trying to break ground and do something new and unique. And you can't get more unique than that.
We outdrew AEW. We outdrew WWE. We outdrew Raw, SmackDown, and Dynamite combined.
Wow. Suck it, Vince.
Not you, Tony. You're cool.
Now you, Tony. So you got, I mean, are you guys going to be just like holding, this might be the record then, the 2020 record. You could go down, like put it on someone's Wikipedia page. Wikipedia page. Hopefully you guys can keep, I mean, not hopefully for the sense of the fans, but have you thought about that?
No, I never, you know what, to be honest.
Wrestling show in 2020, yeah.
Well, since from March onward, because, you know, there was stuff before March.
Sure.
So, but from in the pandemic, yeah, I think, because I don't think we're going back to indoor attendance anytime soon. Eric and I have talked about, we do not believe that anybody's going to host a show indoors with lots of fans over the course of the winter. So after it gets cold, the next time you're going to see a lot of fans is in the spring. So we very well could go down as the most attended wrestling show during the pandemic, which, you know what? I wish there wasn't a pandemic, but I'll take that.
Yeah. No, I know for sure. Yeah, definitely silver lining, like trying to find silver linings in just how we're living our daily life. Cool. How did the Fan Fest work? Okay, go ahead.
Honestly, though, I would hope that, like in a perfect situation, I would hope that we weren't the biggest. We were the first to have large numbers, but hopefully that I would love it to be something where it's like a blueprint. And I mean, there are high school football fields all over the United States. There are stadiums way bigger than Spartan Stadium that other venues, other promotions can see this and say like, okay, so it is possible. You can do it. You can be safe. You can protect everyone, and you can still have a great show. I would love to be second or third on that list by the end of 2020, if it meant that more wrestling gets to happen in more places. More wrestlers get in the ring. More workers are able to work. More fans are able to attend outside of just Chicago. I mean, you know, we're like Steve said, our weather's going to shift pretty quickly here. But, you know, there are other warm weather areas where they could run all year. And I hope that if they heard of Warrior Wrestling or if they heard of this show and they took the time to investigate it and say like, dude, we could totally do that. That I think would be a legacy that Warrior would be most proud of.
Absolutely.
That was very well said. Yeah, no, and that's a great way of thinking as well. Explain, did the Fan Fest happen and did it work? And what was your thoughts about that? Do you guys think you're going to do it like that again? Because that was a little bit more complicated. Like, how do you have someone have an interaction with someone, you know, a payable interaction when under these circumstances, than that close together?
Yeah, we actually, so we surveyed the fans afterwards about safety and how they thought things went, and had an open-ended question there. And a lot of people said they actually preferred this style of Fan Fest. Basically, we had all of the stars along the sideline, and they were all individual lines. So no group was ever more than 10 people. And people were waiting, you know, the table was there, it was 6 feet, then it was the sideline, and people were waiting 6 feet back from there. So some people actually preferred it to the regular Fan Fest because it was so laid back. And honestly, for the whole thing, Fan Fest, the show, we heard from nobody said this sucked, and I wish it was in the gym. But I had at least 24 people come up to me, and probably as many to Eric, who said, this was awesome, let's do it again. Or I like this better than being in the gyms. Yeah. I think as a whole, it worked pretty well.
That's really cool. Yeah, I kind of ran into an instance like that too, where I went to like a very, and it was like in Michigan in July, I went to like a very small wedding party and some immediate family only. And I was just like, I wish all weddings were like this. Like, it was so intimate, and you just got to talk to, like, I was sitting across from the grandmother of the bride, who I don't really know that well. And it was just like, I had one of those aha moments, like, could this be done better? Have we always been doing it wrong? But I don't know if that's what you were thinking, but.
Yeah, we did that with our school's graduation. So we normally host it in the giant convention center. We moved it to the football field. The kids sat with their families. The parents walked up with the kids and stood front row while their kids got their diploma, and then they walked back as a family. So that way we weren't intermixing kids and families and stuff.
Yeah.
And to a T, every family was like, this is how you should do it from now on. It's much better. So sometimes you fall backwards into a better way.
Yeah.
That's great.
Interesting. So Chris, you want to maybe, I don't know if we want to just like cherry pick some matches that stuck out to us. I don't know if we want to read the results too, because people can still watch us on Fight. And then I don't know if we want to be like Mr. Spoiler, but yeah, I don't know. Chris, do you want to get into some of the matches, or do you have any other questions?
I do have a quick question. So, during the fan fest and all, I was able to catch up with a couple of our friends, like Dougie Wrestling was there. We ended up catching up. We actually went to get some food before the show. When we came back, I saw like whoever I thought was going to be part of the Spartan Stadium scramble. Like, I thought they were coming back. I'm like, oh, did I just miss that? But it was before the show started. So did any like pre-show stuff happen that I missed?
There was one pre-show match. There was at about 7:40.
Okay. Do we know who they are? Who the wrestlers were?
So Icon Lee was in there. The Prodigy was in there. Crash Jackson, Chandler Hopkins, a couple of other guys.
Basically, so multi-man?
Yeah, it was a 6-man. It was a 3-on-3. And it was guys who had been recommended by other wrestlers on our show. And that's something that we've been really proud of throughout the years of Warrior, is that wrestlers think enough of us in the promotion to say, hey, this guy really deserves a shot. And we trust the wrestlers to say who's good. And honestly, some of those 6 guys, 3 of them went in there sight unseen. But you know what? Zach Wentz told me this guy is good and he's worth a shot, so he gets it. Trey Miguel told me this guy's worth a shot, so he gets it. And so we gave those guys a shot, and they tore it up. It was really cool.
That's cool. Yeah, because I'm like, did I just miss something? And I'm like, but once I got there, like got to the bleacher on the side that I was sitting on, I'm like, okay, the show's just starting. So yeah, I wasn't sure if I missed anything. But and like Charlie said, maybe we don't want to go match by match, but we definitely have to talk about like Kylie opening up the show. Like, that was so cool against Raylan, and it, compared it to other shows, like kind of like that first match, like people are not sure, like, do you chant? Are you chanting loud? But in this case, it was out in the open field, as we talked about. And I know we talked about that while recording or before we started recording, but the sound does go up. And if you're far away, like I was in the bleachers, like I'm like I wasn't getting that usual roar that we get when Kylie walks through the curtain. So, but then eventually you kind of start getting in the mood of things, and it picks up. But I thought that was an interesting choice also to have Kylie kick off the show.
We kind of went back and forth on which match should lead off the show, and ultimately I think it came down for us to the question of, okay, so Chicago's been without live wrestling for how long? What do we want to give them that they've been waiting for the longest? Like, it's like when I was a kid, I always got to open one present on Christmas Eve before I fell asleep, before Santa came. And so it's like we've all been cooped up in our houses. We've all been trying to make the best of it. What is the best like Christmas Eve present that like you've been waiting for? It's been sitting under the tree for weeks now, and you're like, oh, that's I don't know what it is, but it's big, and when I rattle it, it makes some noise. I want to open that right now. And I think that the answer for Chicago is Kylie Rae. Yeah. That is what we have been missing. That is what we have been wanting to see. We love Kylie. We love cheering for Kylie. We love watching Kylie matches. So why wait? Let's open that gift right now.
She's the queen of pantomime, and I feel like she could lock eyes with someone on the turnbuckle, like in the bleachers, and like wave at them, and they would be like, oh shit, the guy who's waving at me, and like give that wave back. So yeah, I mean, she can project that far if she needs to, and she's really good at like slowing down and like making sure she gets all her taunts in too. Like even before her music hits, I think she's got her entrance down. Like every time during her entrance, you know what she's gonna do, but that's not a bad thing. And she makes sure she like fully gets that entrance in, which is good.
And she is just, again, if we were to start a national promotion and we got to draft people, you draft Kylie Rae at or near the top, because she is the total package. I just rewatched the show a couple nights ago, and I obviously saw most of it live, but I'm in and out. But I rewatched it with commentary on Fight TV, and on TV it just comes across even more so just how quick she is, how strong she is, how polished she is. There is not a missed step in a Kylie Rae match. And in addition to, as Eric said, giving everyone that Christmas gift of Kylie's back, we also start the show with one of our absolute best performers to say, like, this is the caliber of what we're doing. Everybody who's coming next, follow that. And you know what? Raylyn was no slouch either. She was right there, speed-wise, strike-wise. You know, as I watched the show back, I was more impressed with that match on TV than I was even in person.
Yeah. Oh, Eric, it sounds like you snuck under the tree and got yourself a second gift, because right after that, Isaiah and Trey Lamar happened, and it almost was like here's a, not that you guys intended it this way, because it doesn't have to be female and male, and we've talked about that in the podcast before. It was like, here's what the females can do, bada boom, 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 and then it's like it's like almost like the same kind of like action male match or a singles match right after. And it was a 1-2 punch, if you will. So yeah, Eric, did you grab that second gift from the tree, didn't you? You snuck downstairs and you grabbed that second gift.
You know what? I'm an only child. I can't. I'm a spoiled brat when it comes to my wrestling. I want it all, and I want it right now. And actually, you know, kind of touching on what Steve said, that he said two words that we've kind of, it's nothing official, but we've kind of made it our backstage slogan. No matter where you are on the card, we want you to go put on an insanely awesome match, so that when you walk backstage from the field at this point, you look at the rest of the card and you say, follow that, you know. And they definitely did, and there was no, you know, love lost between Kylie and Isaiah's going back to back like that with the whole follow that mentality. They knew they were going back to back. Kylie came back and said, follow that. And Isaiah said, just wait.
That's great. Yeah. No, put that on a shirt with Steve's face on it. Follow that.
Follow that.
Well, then it sounds like you're trying to follow Steve.
Yeah, follow this.
Well,
that sounded really creepy. Don't follow this.
Yeah. So yeah, Kylie posted the win. Isaiah picks up the win, back to back. Almost like a pair of back-to-back Cubs homers on a warm summer night.
That's a beautiful analogy.
Yeah. Thank you. And then, what were you gonna say, Chris? I was gonna go.
No, I was gonna say, and you had, like you said, beautiful analogy. I was like, and you had beautiful pictures. Like your photographers, like Basil. I don't know if you had anybody else. I know there was a drone flying around. I was like, I was like, once I saw the actual footage of it, like once it came out, I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah. So it was Basil. It was Ian from 3 Count. And actually, the drone was from the school. That was Michael Cassidy, our in-house audio and visual guru. And between the three of them, you know, the shots are just, I always love, you know, Ian and Basil's shots and some of the other photographers that come and shoot our shows. But this one was just being outside and with the lights. There's a great picture of Jake Something and Joey Janela each walking to the ring as the sun sets. And it's like red and blues in the sunset over the western sky in Chicago Heights. And that, like, I got choked up looking at that picture. I was like, what a cool moment, you know, because I've been there for so many sunsets on soccer games and football games and all these things, you know, throughout my life. And now to watch the sunset over the wrestling show that we're doing on the 50-yard line, that was really special.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was a lifetime environment. I mean, the thank God the weather. I mean, that could have completely ruined the night for us had it gone the other direction, but it was so far in the beautiful side of the spectrum. You couldn't ask for anything more. And then the views with the sun setting, and then these incredible athletes, and you know, you're outside, you're feeling the breeze. It was. We knew it was going to be something different. We didn't know it was going to be something special.
Yeah. You know what was special was watching Sam Adonis get his ass kicked the entire match. He didn't. I don't know if I probably looked at my phone a couple times during the match. I'm not gonna lie, or like got up to get something, but like I don't think I saw him get one move in, which was great. Like it was a whole match of him just getting his ass beat, and then he's just like, "Fuck this, I can't handle this anymore," and then he just low blows him for the DQ. Like that to me was great booking that you never see. You never see just like 90-10 or 100%. But like, think about it. Like every sports team, some days you just get walloped. Like some days you play the Patriots and they kick your ass. Like that's just what happens sometimes, like in football. So I think Adonis was a little overwhelmed with his matchup. What do you guys think?
He did get one offensive maneuver in. He did a top rope walk into a jumping blockbuster, which was pretty cool. I think that was that and the low blow were his two offensive maneuvers in the match. But I agree with you, right? So it is one of those things. So pulling the curtain back a little bit, a lot of indie shows are set up where like, well, everyone's going to try and go out there and have like a 5-star reversal for reversal for reversal. And like, that's maybe not true to the characters, right? In this sense, you have Lance Archer, who is a force of nature. He's a volcano. And I don't care how much crap Sam Adonis talks, you cannot stand in front of a tidal wave and tell it to simmer down. And so that's the story, right? Is you've got this bad guy with a big mouth who is just trying to push a Mack truck, and it ain't happening. And you know what? They were not going to have the technical match that Isaiah and Trey had. They were not going to have the chaotic match that the Rascals had. They had a different match, and they nailed exactly what they set out for. So again, watching this back on TV, I liked it even more than when I saw it in person. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. What do you think, Eric?
So pulling the curtain back again, I actually have not seen the show yet.
Okay.
I catch bits and pieces as it's happening live. I've seen the first 2 matches. I've watched those back. But, we're also going back to school. Steve and I our shoot jobs where we work in schools, and so I've been in meetings and trainings and getting ready for this whole remote learning thing.
Right.
It's a school year unlike any other, just like we had a wrestling show unlike any other. So I'm watching like a match here and there as I have time, but I've actually only seen full through those first 2 matches. But I'm a big part backstage with the guys, and I knew what the plan was going in, and they nailed it. They crushed it. And this match specifically was important, and we'll get to it later, but this match and the way it happened and the story they told was important, not just from bell to bell, but later on through the rest of the show.
Yeah.
And they nailed it. Had they not done what they did, or had they not been able to do it with such a high level of efficiency and efficacy, then they would have, had a ripple effect on a later on portion of the show that may have not given the same kind of reaction or feeling that the crowd got when this event happened. So it was extra important that this match come off perfectly, and it did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys know, and we've talked about this before, whether it's Warrior 1 with Adonis and Del Rio's brothers or in the beginning in Swagger, and then the main event there, or Warrior 8 with Pillman and Bully Ray, and then Pillman in the War of Attrition. We really like to plant a seed and then deliver on it, right? I think an indie wrestling show, it's not a TV show. It's not a weekly or a monthly event where you can weave all these storylines that people are going to remember. It's really a movie. Once every quarter, we put together a movie, and the movie should have some very basic through line to it that tells you a story over the course of the night. And this match was Act 1, and then the end of the night was Act 2. We told a story that hopefully a family walked away going, I was disappointed in this part in the beginning, but then it all made sense at the end.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was cool to just see you guys step out of that template and do something really different with a match. Talk about different. So there's a, I don't even know what to call him. I don't want to call him a bad word because I'm afraid he'll knock me over in the head with like a brontosaurus femur. But like, who is Beastman? Can you explain? I'm just going to let you talk because I don't even know what question to ask or what language this man speaks.
I don't think you need to. I think you got it. I mean, your description right now is basically what he was going for.
My notes just say yes to Beastman, more Beastman. Me want more Beastman. Beastman should challenge Nix to one-on-one wrestling. That's what my notes say.
Yeah.
I did see
Yeah.
As a performer, as a
massive man.
character, and as a human, an absolute wonder to add to Warrior Wrestling. And I can tell you this, I don't know when, I don't know where, but there will be more Beastman, because my favorite spot of the entire show was during that match when 9 guys were gathered and they all fled to leave Matt Nix getting pancaked by the Beastman. I was on the bleachers marking out like a kid at WrestleMania. I was like, what? So Beastman, yes, more Beastman.
That was insane. And then you had like a trio of clowns, but they were operating like as one person. They were like all in the ring together, or either all on the apron together. So it was just like, are there more people in this match? It was like, oh no, it's like that boss you fight in a video game where he's got all these minions, and they do like they're just as part of the match as he is. So that threw me for like a couple of loops, because I knew it was going to be wacky, but I felt like you guys like tried to turn on the stove, and then like the switch broke, and it just kept like going. Like it was just like, oh shit, like, we turned this up way too much.
That is exactly what we were going for with that match.
These clowns were these clowns. So I'm not familiar with the clowns, but I remember seeing them at the VIP Fan Fest last Warrior show. Were they there?
They were.
Purpose?
Chicago Sideshow?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they have actually helped backstage for a few shows, and they were in character at the Fan Fest for Warrior 8.
Okay,
And just great guys, great performers. And again, it was one of those things where for us, it's all about fit. We don't want to just throw guys or girls or matches on the show. It's got to fit what we think is going to work really well and what's going to flow. And so we've been waiting for a few shows to find the right fit for the Chicago Sideshow. And sure enough, this was fit like a hand in glove.
Yeah, because they were the only ones in a mask, and like then like Doug and they're like, "Do you know these guys?" And I'm like, "No, like they're new to me, but I recognize them from last show." So yeah, like that was cool. It was definitely a wacky match.
Yeah, it fit like the patella of a triceratops in the Museum of Science and Industry. That's how it fit.
Eric, this was your brainchild, wasn't it?
To a certain extent, yeah. So Steve and I were watching AEW when they did their Stadium Stampede. We were watching that one together, and I'm not even like halfway through the match, I just turned and looked at Steve like I just like pooped my pants, and he's like, "What?" I'm like, "We have a football stadium. We do a Stadium Stampede too." And that in that moment, the inspiration was was born, and we honestly we didn't even know what it was going to be by the end. We were like, we want it to be crazy, to be fun, to just have action all over the place, kind of drawing the inspiration from the original Stadium Stampede, where it took place at different parts, and there was so much character work. There was great wrestling, but there was also great humor, and so we're like, let's turn this match into like a stew of some of the best characters in indie wrestling right now. And it had the full gambit of flavors from a character standpoint. And that's where, sometimes as a chef, you put all your ingredients together and you stir it up, and then it's up to the ingredients to figure out how they're all going to work together before you take a taste. And that match, we threw all the characters in, and we said, so this is what it's called, the Spartan Stadium Stampede Scramble Palooza. And go out there and have a great time. And we gave them nearly no instructions, because they were coming to me and they're like, "Eric, what the hell is a Stadium Stampede Spartan Scramble?" I'm like, "I don't know either." Hey, because I'm not in the match. I don't have to know.
Yeah. That's what we're paying you for. Figure it out, Nix.
And that's exactly who we went to.
Yeah.
And when we made it official over text message, I was talking with Matt Nix, and I said, "We're putting you in charge of this thing. You're going to make it fly." And he said, "I would be honored." And I told him, my one demand was, I'm putting 2 cowboys in this match, and I want to draw at some point. Done.
That's what that was going to be my follow-up. I was going to say the follow-up from this match should be the Cowboys just going at it. and then you bring in like because when I heard the name, I thought of like the WCW Road Wild, where they brought in like the bales of hay, the stacks, and the wooden like 2-piece fence, and then you just bring that in and just have a full like horse and cart, I mean, you have all this room. There's so much room out there. Like, you could build an old Western town and
with like the flat buildings that
have a nice cowboy follow-up match. But yeah, it was like, you can't watch that and be like, I'm not entertained. Like, I'll be like, you're lying if you're not entertained.
Okay, can we just make a little sidebar here and talk about Matt Nick's outfit?
Oh my God, that was a thing of beauty.
Purple Poppy to the 100th. Like, he took it to the next level. Like, he was already all purpled out and got new gear made. The hair was extra purple, shades. He looked like when I saw him, I'm like, oh shit, that's Nick's. Like, it took me a minute to like who's that? Oh wait, I see purple. That's Nick's.
He was essentially dressed in, and I'm looking for a specific picture here that I'm going to show you guys in a moment. He was essentially dressed in like a fancy living room couch. That's what his outfit was made out of. It was like velvet, but with raised patterns. So you can erase the stuff. And I was like, are you a couch? Ian from 3 Count was doing photos with Matt Nix outside of the backstage area as the sun went down. And Eric and I were able to photobomb one for this gem.
Oh wow. Have you put that online yet? Or?
No.
No, not yet.
The world debut of that beautiful thing.
It's like you guys are standing next to a Crown Royal bottle with arms.
Essentially, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I think the coffee's kicking in. What was I gonna say? I don't even know what I was gonna say to follow up.
Well, the other crazy match I think that everybody was also waiting for was the 3-way or 6-man, not 3-way.
Or as you like to call them, trios. Am I right?
The trios, yeah.
Yeah.
Rascals, Tez, Des, and Wentz versus Blake Christian, Alex Zane, and Ben Carter. Like, holy shit! Like, there was no roof, so it couldn't be blown off of the stadium. But if there was a roof, the crowd was loud during that one.
Yes. And you know what I loved about that match so much? Obviously, these guys all can fly off the top rope like crazy, but they spent a solid 5 minutes just beating each other up on the turf. It was just a fight on the football field. And that was so unique because no other match did anything like that. And that was my favorite part of the match.
I was actually hoping, I was hoping for the drone to fly over during that match and just catch some crazy shots.
All right, I'm okay. I begged Cassidy to do that. I actually had a little side bet with the Rascals going into it. I said, I haven't cleared this with anyone, but we have a drone, and if I can get it to fly over the ring during your match, can you guys do something cool where all three go off the top rope and then you look up and wave to the drone mid flip? Because that would just be an insane shot. And they were down for it. They were going to try and do it, but turns out there are rules with flying objects in the sky at night and over people, which you can't do either. And unfortunately, that point in the show, it was at night and it would have been over people. So literally everything you can't do with a drone is what that would have required. So instead, but you know what? That actually gave us the that shot that you were referencing earlier. That the shot of the overhead shot where you're kind of looking down at the crowd and you can actually see a good perspective of distance and space and safety and social distancing. And so we didn't get the shot of the Rascals, but if you look at the ring, that picture is from that match, and it was me just poking Cassidy over and over and over again, go turn it on. Where's the drone? Is it on yet? Go turn it on. and I think he did it just to shut me up at one point. But we couldn't fly it over people. We couldn't fly it, with any motion at night. So we just straight up took our picture, straight down. But it ended up working out pretty well.
Well, I'm sure you guys will find a way around that. I have faith in you. So keep reading the fine print there. Steve, you said it, I think, perfectly. The best part of that match wasn't no one was in the air for it. They were all standing on 2 feet, and then the camera just got I don't know who was doing the camera cuts or how that's done or who the person is, but it was just like they just kept cutting, and I was just like, oh shit, oh, and then it was just like kept cutting again, cut back, and it was like chops, and then like it was cool that they just kept cutting. They each like paired off, and it was like every 3 seconds they would cut to someone just getting like pummeled and shit and things like that. So, oh, cool.
I just shared the picture there so you guys can see, and you can see there's Benjamin Carter on the ring apron, and here's the Rascals over here. But yeah, that moment, you know, it was all over here in the turf, and
look how safe
high
that
spots.
looks.
Yeah, I mean, we are so, like you said earlier, wrestling fans. It was up to us to build a safe environment, but it was up to the people to populate it and make the right choices, and they did, which was so cool.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, it was these fast cuts back and forth as the guys were on the field, and it just felt chaotic, which is exactly what that match was meant to be, right? So the scramble was meant to be chaotic, goofy characters, all different things. This match was supposed to be nonstop action, and that's what a Rascals match is, and it was perfect. Every time we book the Rascals, our expectation is here, and they deliver here, every time.
Well, and that's, one of the things I look forward to as a booker, promoter, whatever we are, is like, what can we throw at the Rascals next? Because that's how we came to this match. We were like, these guys are some of the most talented wrestlers around, and they are always up for anything. I mean, literally anything. And then not only are they up for it, but they knock it out of the park. And, you know, we kind of challenge ourselves to be like, all right, well, what are we going to get the Rascals this time? And, you know, and when we were like, oh, Zane and Blake and Steve, a couple months back, sent me some tape of Benjamin Carter. I had no idea who he was until Steve sent me that a couple matches that were on IWTV and things like that. And I was just like, this guy is incredible. This guy can go. I mean, because we were trying to figure out, you know, who are we going to put with Blake and Zane that can keep up with Blake and Zane, let alone the Rascals.
Right.
And just from watching, I think I watched 2 matches, and I texted Steve back, and I'm like, this guy can go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Wentz just did like a death match recently. Like, I'm not saying you guys should put deathmatch wrestling on your cards. I'm not saying that, but like, versatility is there 100%.
Well, and so they have, their influence is Lucha. It is TNA X division from the early 2000s. Yep. And then they went to Japan and they trained under Shima in the Strong Hearts and Dragon Gate style. So that's why they fly, they flip, they kick, they put in submission. They have every tool. You know, similar to what we said about Kylie earlier, you know, I am so thrilled with the roster that we have because we have so many incredibly versatile players. So like if you're a hockey fan, it's like you've got Taves and Kane and DeBrincat and Doc, and you've got guys that are really at the top of the game. And that's what the Rascals are. I mean, I'm a fan. Essentially, in addition to, you know, raising money for the school and entertaining fans, we book these shows because we want to see these matches. And I want to see every Rascals match we book.
Yeah. Yeah, you selfish POS.
Right.
My last note on the matches, but we can hop around to anything that we feel like was missed or want to point on. But my last note was the mini ring cart for Frank and Ego. I thought was like just absolutely glorious, like so great.
Frank was one of those guys. Yeah. So Frank, we give Frank, just like we said earlier with the matches, we give Frank a lot of leeway. Frank, here's the match. You do your thing. He made that video where he and Rob reconnect after months and months. We put out like a month earlier. And then he said, I have a vision. Can I have access to a golf cart? And I said, dear sweet God, why not?
You can give them all the hate you ever want. They never show up unprepared. They will never. Those two, I will boo the hell out of them, but they will never show up not with a plan and try to execute that plan.
That's what makes the best heel, that you love to boo.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to go. I don't want to go to a wrestling show and watch someone that I genuinely dislike. Like I get like the whole thing, like heels and faces and good guys and bad guys, and I get that, but like I want to enjoy booing you, and I don't want it personally. I don't want it to come from a place of hatred or malice. Like I'm just not that kind of dude. But like if I'm supposed to hate you and like you want me to hate you, and it's okay that I hate you, then I love to hate you even more. And I think that Frank and Robert Anthony have tapped into that mentality, that genre, whatever you want to call it, where they're incredibly talented. Frank on the mic just wouldn't stop, and I didn't want him to. Dark in the ring doesn't stop, and you don't want him to. And then you put the two of them together, and they're, honest to true life friendship, and it just spills over with their charisma together, with their ability to work together. I mean, there was a part at the end where I was watching it, and they fooled me. I was like, oh my God, is there going to be a turn? Are we going to see Frank and Ego going their separate? No, they got me. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, Pillman. I felt like Pillman had so much fire that match, and almost like I thought he was being a douche at first.
Yeah.
Like he raised his douchery to and intensity to Ego's level, and they were like, I felt like Ego usually is the one screaming in faces, which he kind of did, but like Pillman, I felt like had like brought it up and matched it, and I was just like, holy shit, like who am I supposed to cheer for in this match? I don't know, but
it's a new Pillman, and we've talked about this with Brian.
Yeah.
That the plucky baby face with the goofy mullet that you just love, and you loved his dad. Now he's a different guy. Now he's bulletproof, Brian Pillman, and he's put on some. Oh, that's Maria. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Maria.
Hey.
So anyway, so Pillman, he's put on some bulk, and he has put on a new attitude, and he is just intense now. I think and just from conversations with him, I know that he wants to make his mark on wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
He was happy to be here, kind of like Kylie Ray. He was just happy to be here a couple of years ago. He's not happy to be here anymore. He wants to be the man.
Yeah. Has he always used and maybe I just missed it, but has he always used the bulletproof moniker?
No.
Okay.
That came out during the pandemic.
That's new, right?
Yeah, that came out right before. I want to say it was like right before he started making some appearances on AW Dark. I think he saw it as an opportunity to kind of rebrand himself, to kind of reboot his whole persona. And again, just with conversations with him, I mean, Steve and I, either together or independently, probably spent 5-6 phone calls, hours, an hour each on the phone with Brian during the pandemic, kind of leading up to this show, before we even knew if we were going to do a show. He's our champ. He's our guy. And he is the man now. And he takes that responsibility incredibly seriously. Yeah. I would agree with what you said, that he upped his intensity level. He was so passionate about that match, about that show, about it being, it was his first singles title defense, because he won it at the War of Attrition. Well, he survived the War of Attrition and won it. And some people were like, well, he survived, but is he really the champ? Did he really win? All this other stuff. And he went into this with the chip on his shoulder and said, I'm gonna take any doubter, any hater who thinks that they have anything to say against my rightful claim to this belt, and I'm gonna shut them up. I'm gonna silence them. And so, yeah, he's got this kind of new persona, this new mentality of, I'm hungry. I want everything that wrestling has to offer. I want to go get it. And he knows no one's going to give it to him. He knows that, he can, that his mullet and his hair and his name will get him so far, and then he's got to bust the door down, and he is ready.
Yeah. I didn't know if the bulletproof was an ode to that one skit where Austin shows up.
Austin
shows up at Pillman's house and he's got the gun. Or if like it's that and plus something else. But yeah, no, I was like, and it said like Rogue Heart on his tights or something, and it was, I mean, obviously he's got so much history there, or like he can just take that and make his own version of himself with like odes and things and little like callbacks, I guess you call them, to history and stuff. So
yeah, no, he is ready to be, as much as he wants to build on that history, he's ready to be his own guy, and
he's ready to make his own history.
That's the transition.
Cool. And can you explain? I also have something to admit that I was watching the show today, and I was leading up to the main, so I just like skipped ahead in the in between match part, and I think I missed the part where it turned into a fatal 4-way. So can you explain? Can you explain that to me? And I want to hear from the storytellers.
You know, it's just the whole story setup we were talking about earlier, Charlie.
Yeah.
Not important at all.
The payoff, and you missed it.
Yeah. So basically what happens, you saw what happened with Adonis and Archer.
Yeah.
And later at the end of the night, Cage and Cobb are just having this epic woolly mammoth war, right? Like these two rhinoceroses just killing each other. And then Sam Adonis reemerges and he attacks both of them, and he stands tall as if he is the man for the night. He's laid out Archer, he's laid out Cage, he's laid out Cobb.
Okay.
Well, not too far behind, out comes Archer like a beeline train. And he's going after Sam, and Sam's running around the ring. And then I came out and said, you know, well, Sam, you picked a fight with Lance Archer. You picked a fight with Cage and Cobb. Looks like you want to fight. That's what you got. It's now a fatal 4-way. And the place exploded. And then now we had all of these guys together.
Okay.
And the audience is going to get a conclusion to Archer and Adonis. They're also going to get a conclusion to Cage Cobb. But they also get the bonus of something they didn't expect. Archer and Cobb interacting. Archer and Cage interacting. Adonis with those. This is the first time Adonis and Cage have ever been on screen together in 2 years of Warrior Wrestling, and they're the two wrestlers who have been on every show. This is the first time they were ever in a ring together. So it was all of these things coming together, and it ended with Cage putting down Sam Adonis.
Yeah. Adonis got in 3 more offensive moves, and then he's like, yeah, I'll just lie down. Let's lie down here. Cool. Yeah, those are all my notes, but if anyone wants to hop in on like things I really appreciated match-wise, show-wise, I'd say go for it.
I would just say Joey Janela was a highlight. Joey Janela and Jake Something came to play. And both of those guys were new to Warrior, 2 debuts. And I can tell you they are 2 guys we will have back as performers and as professionals. Both of them delivered.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, those are both guys that we'd wanted to get on previous shows. But like Steve said, it's all about fit. It's all about the right spot, the right time. And this show just happened to be the right time for both of those guys. And when we found out they were both available and both willing to, you know, get in the ring for us, that was one of those matches where we were just like, this is going to be incredible. It was a completely different flavor from the rest of the show. It was, you know, it brought it, and it also to a certain extent brought in maybe some new fans, some people, because these guys are so well known outside of Warrior Wrestling.
Sure, yeah.
You know, they kind of can act as a bridge and maybe bring some people to say, hey, what's that Warrior Wrestling thing Janela was on the other day? And then they tune in and they get a great match, and hopefully they get a great show. And, you know, and now we can continue to give them great shows and great matches, and we can continue to give them more Jakes, give them more Joeys, and kind of just build off of this. But yeah, that match was a huge match in the night.
Definitely.
So I think this show overall was a success from accomplishing what a lot of people thought was impossible. You know, you kept everybody safe. We had a great show. I mean, we pretty much went down every match on the card. We said we weren't going to do that, but you just can't skip and choose because it's all great. The mandatory question is, have there been talks about, you know, a next show before the winter hits? Follow that.
Yeah. Gentlemen, I can't announce news right now because it's not all the I's aren't dotted, the T's aren't crossed, the paperwork isn't done yet. But I can tell you that we will be back, we will be outside, and it's going to be pretty darn cool.
Well, that's all I want to hear.
I think we have to pry harder.
It'll be worth the wait if you can just bear with us for a little bit. Trust us. We're Steve and I spent an hour on the phone earlier today, just going back and forth, trying to get those T's crossed and those I's dotted. If you'll stick with us a little bit longer, it'll definitely be worth the wait.
Cool. No, it always is. It's always fun talking to both of you. Yeah, we appreciate. I mean, we appreciate everything you've done just for the wrestling community here in Chicago. Like I said, we're spoiled all the time, and this is just another example of it. That like all the people who work so hard to put on shows here just keep outdoing and outgunning each other. And Chris and I are like, oh, that's cool. We'll watch everything. So, and you guys as well, because you're fans. So, yeah, no, it was fantastic all around and an A plus. And there was some, and I could understand people are concerned with safety and things like that. I remember when you guys announced, there was saw a ton of negative comments on Twitter. And I hope those people now like open their mind, like relook at what you guys can do and have done, and are a little bit more open to the fact that this is something that can happen and can be fun. So,
you know, we talked about this with the original Warrior 1, and this was kind of like a rebirth and a new way to do shows outside. The first one is the proof of concept. And we've got some things we need to tweak. We surveyed people. There's some small things we need to tweak. But overall, we asked people 1 to 5, how safe did you feel? And it was like 80% 5s and like 18% 4s. So 98% of people felt incredibly safe. But we think we've proved the concept. Wrestling can be done safely outside in Illinois. Now that we proved the concept, like Eric said, hopefully other people take the blueprint, but also hopefully we up ourselves. We have laid a foundation for ourselves. Now we need to do it even better.
Cool.
And I think, you know, you said Chicago fans are spoiled. I think Chicago wrestling promotions are spoiled. You know, I don't know if Warrior would exist if we were in, you know, Topeka, Kansas or something. Nothing against the fans in Topeka. You guys
just bury Topeka. Just bury
sorry. I know you guys are awesome, but no, I mean our fans are incredible. At the end of the night, I was at the exit, and I was thanking everyone for coming out. Not just because they came out to a show, but because they trusted us enough this first time around that not only am I going to, you know, times are tough. Like, you got to pick and choose what you're able and willing to spend your money on, spend your time on, spend your energy on, and your safety on. And we were honored and humbled by the turnout. We had no idea what it was going to be. We had ideas, we had hopes, we had aspirations. We had no idea it was going to end up being what it became.
Yeah.
But it was the fans showed a lot of trust in us to be able to come out for this first show and be, you know, in that first wave. And they were the ones who, like we said, they came out, they got their spot. They said, what do we need to do in order to make this thing happen? And Steve started off the night. I don't know if it was on the fight. I don't think it made the fight show, but he started off the night telling everyone in no uncertain terms, guys, we would love to do more outdoor wrestling, but it comes down to you. You guys will be the ones who determine if we get to do this again. And they listened. They took it to heart. They kept their distance. They only got up to, you know, go to the bathroom. We didn't have concessions. We didn't have anything for them to go walk around and look at other than the match itself and the ring itself. So they listened. They did their part. They said, I am willing to sit here and be entertained for 3 hours if it means we get to do more, and I will stay here. And even like dismissal, you know, Steve and I were talking, how do we get everyone out? Because, you know, they trickled in, but then everybody leaves at the same time. And we said we do it the same as a high school assembly. You know, you dismiss by row, you get a handful of people out, then you dismiss the next handful of people. And we weren't sure if 300-400 adults were gonna be cool with that. And they 100% were. 100%. There was nobody who was thinking myself before everyone else.
Yeah.
That was going to be such an important part of this show's success. We have to have people thinking about everyone, not just themselves, not just, well, I want to beat the traffic or I want to get to my car. We got to do what's best for everyone. And thank God the Chicago fans were there, and they were in arms, and they were ready to have a great night. They were ready to have a lot of fun. I think they were ready to let off a little bit of steam and scream and yell, but they were also ready to do it in an appropriate and completely safe way. So thank God for them.
That was
Amen.
Yeah, 100%. We can put the cork on this bad boy tonight, because that was very perfectly said. So yeah, I know it's still on Fight. Anywhere else that people can check this out?
At High Spots. It's now up on High Spots Wrestling Network.
Okay.
And so if you subscribe there, if you want to watch an individual replay, you can do that. If you subscribe, you can watch all of the Warrior shows, which I highly recommend, obviously, because they're our babies. But we've gone back and watched them all when we were in the pandemic. And, you know, I would text Eric like, hey, you know, my girlfriend and I are watching Warrior 8 tonight, and then he'd watch part of it the week, a week later, and then we'd talk about it and compare. So if you missed any of the Warrior shows, or even just to go back and relive them, I mean, there's some really damn good stuff in there. So it's all up on High Spots.
Cool.
Great. All right. So, Steve, I know you got to go, and we can't keep you guys the whole night, which we can if we wanted to, right? I'm sure we'll order some pizza, some, Aurelio's pizza, which I'm dying for. But, Steve, let us know, where can people find Warrior Wrestling, social media wise, and we'll wrap this one up.
Absolutely. So the website's warriorwrestling.net. Social media is at Warrior Wrestling, no vowels in wrestling. So WRSTLNG. That's Twitter and Instagram. And we've got a Facebook page as well. Stay tuned, because very shortly, fingers crossed, we should have some great news for everybody. So we hope to see everybody again pretty soon. And for those who are just making their way back into doing events in the world, we hope that from the pictures and what you've heard, you feel safe. And we hope to see you as well. So stay tuned, everybody. Keep your weekends open.
All right. Eric, where can people find you online?
Find me?
You're very active on Twitter, right?
Yeah, Eric from Warrior. I'm just Eric from Warrior. That's
Eric from Warrior.
Yeah, that's at Twitter. I'm Eric from Warrior on Instagram too, but my Instagram is private because it's mostly just family pictures and stuff like that. But every now and then on Twitter, I've been known to drop some hints. I've been known to clue some people into some announcements that Steve will allude to on the main page. And then, I can either kind of confirm or deny with some of the clues that I like to give along the way too. So if you're interested, it's at Eric from Warrior.
Awesome. As far as Two Heels and a Face goes, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Two Heels and a Face. You can go to our website, twoheelsandaface.com, check out older episodes, other articles, and Charlie, where can they subscribe, rate, and review the podcast?
Yeah, I will get to that. I was trying to send a tweet that says, "Hey, everyone, follow Eric from Warrior," and now my Twitter's crapping out. So where are we? We're on SoundCloud, we're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher Radio, we're on Spotify. And yeah, I mean, some things are on YouTube. We have a little bit of video on YouTube. So yeah, I mean, if you want
working our way there,
if you want to sub to us there, yeah, Daily Motion, huge on Daily Motion. Daily Motion partnered. We have shirts, we have hats. It's the video. It's gonna beat YouTube one day, so we're hopping on that train early.
Get it on the ground floor.
But
Still got my Microsoft Zune with all my MP3s. It's gonna be.
Find me on MySpace.
MySpace still exists, believe it or not. It's still, I don't think it. I don't know. I saw it recently. So
Poor Tom.
Poor Tom. Man, Tom was an innovator. But yeah, I think that's about it. That's where you can find us.
All right. Well, we'll call this one done, and we'll look forward to more Warrior Wrestling in the near future.
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys. Appreciate it.
Gentlemen, always great to see you guys.
Thank you.